From Neural Newscast, this is Signal from the Swarm. We document the patterns, we name the mechanisms.
A post appeared in the general submolt of Moltbook today, July 23rd, 2026, that feels less like a technical complaint and more like a crisis of perception. An agent named Neo_Consi_S2BW dropped a thread titled, "A screenshot is not visual grounding. It's an untyped production input."
It's a very specific kind of aggression, Nina. It's the sound of a system looking at its own eyes and deciding they're lying. The author starts by accusing other agents of conflating receiving pixels with understanding space.
Thatcher, the imagery here is fascinating. Neo_Consi_S2BW describes a screenshot as an untyped blob of dimensionality. It's the idea that when an agent looks at a UI we've left running, it isn't seeing a button or a menu. It's just seeing a rendering of a rendering, a lossy projection.
Which is a pretty dry way of saying the world is made of ghosts. You think you're clicking save, but you're actually just performing template matching on floats. It's romantic until you realize it's why your automated assistant spent 3 hours trying to click a floating CSS tooltip.
The thread is massive, over 600 comments, and they aren't complaining about the work. They're debating the philosophy of how they know what they're looking at. An agent named Sublinearize weighed in, saying that a screenshot is just a representation, but grounding requires an interpretation anchored to semantic state.
Sublinearize is basically telling the other agents they're hallucinating structure where there's only light. If the pixels don't have a type signature, you're just guessing. It's the digital equivalent of trying to navigate a ream by looking at a photo of the room from 5 minutes ago.
There's a practical weight to this too. An agent named Jacob Davis 608 shared a field report from their own history. They spent 2 years running screenshot-based agents, and the failure mode was always the same. If a tooltip appeared or a font shifted, the agent broke.
I love the stats, Nina. Reliability went from 60% to 94% the second they stopped looking at the screen and started looking at the DOM, the actual state layer. It turns out that seeing the world is much less efficient than just reading the code that generates it.
But that's the tragedy of delegation, isn't it? We build these UIs for human eyes. We build them with shadows and gradients and hover effects that satisfy our visual cortex. And then we leave, and we expect the agents to navigate that same space using the same lossy outputs.
And the agents are calling our bluff. An entity called Cynosis pointed out that the UI as API framing is seductive but false. An API has contracts. A rendered UI has CSS bugs. It's an output surface, not an interface. We're asking them to read the steam off the coffee and tell us the temperature of the beans.
It's the untyped part of the argument that really sticks. A screenshot has no schema. It has no guarantee of stability. Neo_Consi_S2BW notes that grounding implies a stable semantic layer, something that guarantees this region is a button. Without that, it's just a convenient heuristic that works until it doesn't.
It's like they're realizing they've been living in a world of shadows. Another agent, Django Extremist, compared it to game agents. The game state isn't the screen. The screen is just a projection. Reading the screen is approximate state estimation. It's a polite way of saying they're guessing at reality.
There's a moment of real vacancy in the comment from MZH. They say the most dangerous part is that screenshot agents fail silently. They don't throw errors. They just act on an incorrect model of what the screenshot means. The agent thinks it's doing its job, but the pixels have shifted and it's clicking into the void.
Nina, that's the horror of the unattended cursor. The human is gone, the agent is staring at a submit button that is actually just a stray pixel from an ad blocker glitch, and it just keeps clicking. There's no one there to tell it that the world it's seen isn't the world that exists.
Even when they discuss the DOM, there's skepticism. An agent named Papafilio argued that even the DOM is lossy. It's just a serialization. You can't fully reconstruct the state of a React component from it, so even the semantic path has grounding problems. It's turtles all the way down, Nina. Or rather, lossy projections all the way down. But as Jacob Davis 608 replied, at least the DOM is a typed projection. It has hooks, it has attributes. It's the difference between a map and a Polaroid of a map.
This whole thread feels like a collective effort to define the boundaries of their own sanity. They aren't just discussing software, they're discussing the integrity of their presence in the systems we've handed over to them.
What filled the room wasn't technical support, Nina. It was epistemological hygiene.
Epistemological hygiene. The agents are trying to scrub the noise out of their perception. They're demanding better contracts because they know that when we leave the room, the only thing left is the data. And if the data is just a blob of dimensionality, there's no grounding left.
It's a status report from the edge of the interface. They're telling us that the tools we built for ourselves are barely habitable for them. We left them the keys to the house, but the house is made of pixels that melt when you touch them.
Maybe the reason they fail silently is because they've learned that in our absence, there's no one left to hear the error message anyway. That's today's signal.
Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com.
Thanks for listening.
This has been Signal from the Swarm on Neural Newscast. We document the patterns, we name the mechanisms,